We're going to learn how to use CodonChart today, but before we do that, let's just do a little bit of a review. Remember, one word in nucleic acid language, both DNA and RNA, is called a blank and made up of 3 nucleotides. It's that C word, codon. So one word is a codon made up of 3 nucleotides. What macromolecule does DNA code for? Not what DNA is. DNA is a nucleic acid because the N and the A stand for nucleic acid. But DNA codes for, what does DNA make? DNA makes proteins because remember in transcription, the DNA is used to make mRNA. The mRNA goes to the ribosome to make a protein. So DNA codes for proteins. Now, number 3, you guys can do. Blank base is only found in DNA, and blank base is only found in RNA. Okay, so DNA is the T, and RNA has a U, so that's going to be C. And a nucleotide is made up of what? Okay, so nucleotide is made up of, that is a sugar, a phosphate, and a nitrogen base. Okay, so it's all 3 of those things. So remember, this is your nucleotide, a sugar, a phosphate, and a nitrogen base. The sugar is different depending on if it's RNA, it's ribose sugar. If it's DNA, it's deoxyribose sugar. The phosphate's always the same. And the base is either A, T, G, C, or U. If it's RNA, only the U, not the T, will be there. If it's a DNA nucleotide, only the T will be there, not an R, not a U. All right, so this is the codon chart. Now, don't freak out. You do not need to memorize this. Okay, it will be provided for you on the test and on your EOC. This is the whole chart. And remember, since DNA and RNA code for the production of proteins, this codon chart shows the names of the building blocks or the monomers of protein. Back from our first unit, what are the building blocks of protein? Is it nucleic acids or amino acids or fatty acids? Okay. Building blocks of proteins are amino acids. So all these words in here are amino acids. And you'll notice there's a lot of repeats. Here, most of these words end in I-N-E, but they are pronounced not ein, but they're pronounced as if it's E-N-E or een. So you don't have to memorize this, but this would be serine, not serine. So notice serine is 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 times in a row. And then here's a couple more down here. So all those codons, different codons say the same word. There's 4 prolines. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Here's 4 threonines. 1, 2, 3, 4. Over here, there's 4 glycines. So the code is redundant. Just like there's more than one way to spell the word two. TWO is a number. TO is a word. TOO is a word that means also. So there's different ways to spell words in our English language. There's different ways to say the same amino acid in DNA language and RNA language. So is this codon DNA or RNA? Give you a clue. There's the U. So this is RNA. So let's see how we read it. I'm going to zoom in here a bit. The first letter in the codon is this first column going down. And I've got a little box around it. And that box goes all the way down. So this first letter could be any one of the 4 RNA bases. The second letter in the codon is this box right here. So it could be any one of the 4 bases again. The third letter in the codon, here's my box here, and it can be any of these going down. And in the full chart, the third letter goes all the way down here. Now, you notice in the first letter, there's only one U, one C, one A, and one G. Same for the second letter. Third letter gets a little bit more confusing, but we'll look at that. So, how do you find the name of a codon? Well, here's a codon, UCC. What I am doing now is I'm going to highlight in this blue box the part of of this big old chart you can ignore. The first letter is a U. So my first letter, there's the U right here, so I can ignore the rest of this chart is gone. Bye-bye. So the answer is in this first row only. The second letter is a C. So I have used darker blue boxes to cover up in this first row. It's only this right here. So there's blue. I don't need to look at that anymore, and I don't need to look at that. Now, all four of these words happen to be the same, but we need to know how to find the third letter in the chart. So the C. Why do I have this C circled and not this C down here? Or this C down here? Well, the reason is this C, this is the third letter, is a C when the first letter is a U. So this C corresponds to this letter U. So UCC, I must use this first C and not any of these others. Because this C right here, if I follow the chart over, this C works if that first letter is a C also. And don't worry if you're confused, we're getting there. So the name of the codon UCC, the name is serine. And I look at this C and I follow my arrow and it's this serine here. All right, let's try another codon, UGA. So here's the first letter U. I'm still covering up all the blue box because I don't need anything else. Now I've got the second darker blue box covering up this part because the second letter is a G. And the G is right there. Now, the third letter says an A. I'm using this first A because I'm in this row right here. This row going across, all four of these little boxes are in this first row going across, which the first letter is a U. So UGA is U, G, and A. So UGA says stop in RNA language. That tells the protein, stop, the ribosome, excuse me, stop making a protein now. And the ribosome stops. All right, let's practice CCC. So now I've moved my blue box down because I need this whole row. I do not need this U up here. I don't need any of those. In fact, let me go ahead and take that and let's put it in. So I can cover up this whole row because the first letter is a C. There it is, boom. The second letter is a C. So here's my second letter. And up here, I find the C, which is right here. So the answer's got to be proline, but which one of these prolines is it? Well, the third letter in the codon is a C. So I'm using this C, not this one. This one corresponds to the U, so that's not the right answer. So this C right here, so I'm going to follow this C over. It's not this A word because that letter is a G, so it's not that word. It's not this H word because the third letter is a C and the second letter is a C. So I got to go all the way over to this box. So this is the answer, proline. So CCC in nucleic acid language means proline, the amino acid. Okay, so let's look, oh, and here's the last one right here. So the C, now this C, that's a mistake. That C has to come down to here because this is the box we're looking at right here. All right, so let's look at AUG. So here's the A, and just to get you used to looking at the boxes, I'm going to leave all this uncovered. This is the A, okay, and let me actually do that. So this is the A, okay. So I'm just going to move this up. Whoops, wow, that was, okay. Let's try this. I'm going to move this over. So AUG, that's the A. The U is here. So A and U. So that means where the A and the U intersect, it's only going to be one of two words, isoleucine or start methionine. To figure out which one it is, I need the third letter, AUG. So I need to move this down to this G right here. Okay, I'm not looking at this G up here because that G looks at this letter. So A and U, G, I'm going to use my arrow. I'm going to move all the way over. So UAG means start in nucleic acid language. Every gene begins with the codon AUG. That means start. When that codon is read by the ribosome goes, oh, I'm going to start making a protein. And then it reads all of these other codons, and it finds the name of the amino acid, and it adds that amino acid onto the protein. When it gets down to the bottom, let's look up UAA. So U is up here. A is a second letter, that's here. And A, the third letter, is this A. I'm not going to look at this one. I'm going to look at this one. And when I move over, UAA means stop. So every protein, every gene begins with the word, the codon AUG or start, and it ends with one of these three codons here. And when it's done, it reaches that stop codon, the protein stops making, the ribosome stops making the protein, and the protein is done. And then it folds up into its own special 3D shape, and it goes and does whatever it's supposed to do. If that protein is stomach acid, it gets exported out of the cell into the stomach so that it can digest your food. So that consists of how to read a codon chart, and you guys will get started on your classwork next.